Hey guys, Rexter here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down Help Wanted 2. This video is going to be a full story explained, as well as the secret lore, and we're going to point out some of the Easter eggs along the way. These things may have been missed in your initial watch, however, they could change the future of FNAF entirely. Not to mention, we might actually have some answers to Cassie and her father, and what it means for the future of FNAF. So, if that sounds good to you, grab your popcorn and a drink, and let's go ahead and dive in. So the game starts as a unknown protagonist takes his role as, well, it looks like the pizzeria's do-it-all boy. A presentation listed off by hand unit begins playing on the board above us. After giving a brief summary of what we're expected to do, we need to accept the position. And as soon as he hears the audio cue to go ahead, we get thrusted into day one of the job. Now, upon arrival, things look about as friendly as they could possibly be. The job seems innocent enough, and you're even greeted by Helpy on the board above. You'll also notice a few familiar objects around the room, including the cupcake bonanza, which plays a big part in the game later on. Now, this is the same one that was able to be found and seen at PAX West. In addition to that, there is a mystic hippo along with a very familiar conduit, very similar to the one that we saw in FNAF Security Breach Ruin. Now we know the only way to unlock these things is to use the Faz wrench. And the last time we heard about a Faz wrench was from, well, Cassie's father. Now one thing that is obviously noticeable is the giant monitor in front of us. Now this allows us to access different parts of the building. These parts of the building include the backstage, food prep, staff only, the ticket booth, the Fazcade, and sister location. Now each one of these areas has a unique corresponding activity or activities that need to be complete in order to check them off of your list. As I said before, we play as the Fazbear Entertainment Do-It-All Boy, and we need to complete each one of these tasks in order to find the ending. And this wide variety of tasks will really keep you on your toes. You go from unfreezing Freddy to get a birthday cake, to fixing a haunted carousel ride with Moon chasing you the whole way. Not to mention, fixing animatronics like Helpy, and even prepping some of the food. This is definitely one for the ages as far as Faz games go. And if these tasks don't meet the level of satisfactory, well, let's just say you're in for quite the disappointing punishment. Now, most likely, all of the events in this game take place before FNAF Security Breach Ruin, at least until you come across the Roxy makeup level, but more on that later. You see, we start our day right here in the very own Backstage. Now, this Backstage has a sub-file, one that has to do with a daycare activity called Arts and Crafts. Now, it seems innocent enough, however, when you don't complete the craft in the correct way, you get put in timeout by none other than Sun. And let's just say you definitely don't want to get on his bad side. Now, once completing this task, it pretty much wraps up the Backstage. However, it doesn't end our job, as we need to head over to the Fazcade. Now in the Fazcade, we have two games that start off on sub-files that are still locked. For starters, we have Bonkabon, which innocently enough, all you have to do is play a similar whack-a-mole style game, bonking Bonkabon on his head, and of course, if you do hit the Helpy in this level, you will lose some points. Now what makes this game really scary is the fact that there are plush babies that are willing to attack you at any given time if you don't hit her on the head 3 times consecutively. This game also features Bonnet, and after completing a high score, you're released from this one as well. Bringing us over to the Fazerblast game, which is actually one of my favorites and a pretty simple yet fun way of playing FNAF Help Wanted 2 in VR. This is a game very similar to one that you would see at an amusement park, where you point and aim at different targets and get points for each hit. However, keep your eyes on the plush baby once again. If it gets a little too close to you, well, you'll pay the consequence. However, once entering the staff room, you'll notice a frozen glam rock Freddy. Now, what makes this really unique is the fact that we need to not only unfreeze him, but repair him to an extent to release a birthday cake. This birthday cake is actually for a special boy by the name of Jimmy, and if you'll recall, this is actually what Glamrock Freddy's stomach function was used for. Before he was hiding Gregory in here, it was used to deliver birthday cakes to the different birthday rooms inside of the Mega Pizzaplex. Now, upon completion of this task, you'll notice that there is another task that is now unlocked. This task is called First Aid, the Pig Patch level. Now, it's pretty simple. You just basically need to do some maintenance work on Helpy, fixing him from any type of weird occurrences that happen inside the Pizzaplex, and as the newest Fast technician, well, bringing him back to life. Now the problem is, if he does decide to scream, you need to watch out for the animatronic that is haunting you inside of the vents. And in this case, it's Pig Patch. You'll remember Pig Patch briefly being in FNAF Pizza Simulator, and this whole task is basically a chance of getting you to practice different medical procedures on the animatronics. Now, if you do happen to get Helpy to scream, make sure you put the mask on quickly. It is some type of calming gas. Now, one thing that needs to be noticed is the fact that there are other files located here on this monitor. Not only do we have the files, which I believe are just tutorials in order to show you the different jobs around the Pizzaplex, but you have some corrupt files as well. Now, we will get to the reason why, but for starters, this is Glitchtrap's doing, and this is only the beginning of how the animatronics themselves became corrupted. And as you begin to play more of the games or tasks, you'll notice something is going wrong. And this becomes more obvious in the food prep stages. You'll notice Chica doesn't seem very friendly, however she does follow the protagonist around as he tries to complete his job. However, after completing a series of tasks, you do unlock that Faz Wrench. Now this Faz Wrench does unlock a door, but it also unlocks a lot more than that, including the lore of this game. Once completed, the conduit opens up the door that leads to an arcade machine known as Princess Quest 4. Now, this room is also complete with a poster that says clocking out already. Take off your mask. And that's when things get a bit spicy, as the protagonist reaches towards his own face, realizing that this entire time he's been wearing a Vanny mask. Now, as mysterious as this is, and how on earth did it get on our face to begin with, you'll notice the world around us has completely changed. Everything looks like it's been through the roughest of times. The building is falling apart and looks a lot more dark than we recognized at the beginning of the game. This, of course, reminds me of the Brazil ending in FNAF Security Breach Ruin. This Vanny mask, of course, plays a role in pretending that the world around us is perfect. But the false reality that it serves is just a cover-up for the harsh world that we're living in. Now, what's interesting about this mask is that once it's off, you'll notice it's almost like we take a time lapse. Now, if you'll recall, the makeup level where we helped Roxanne get ready for her show is a lot different this time around. The Roxanne that we now see in front of us is the one that has been crushed and demolished in ruin. And what's even more interesting is we see the same walkie-talkie that was used by the Mimic and, of course, Cassie in the game before. This jumbles up the entire timeline. Of course, where does Help Wanted 2 now fit in with Security Breach Ruin? Now, my theory is it fits somewhere in the middle. Right smack dab in the middle of FNAF Security Breach and FNAF Security Breach Ruin. I believe that Cassie's father is the actual protagonist that we're playing as, and he comes into the game in order to, well, restore what Gregory has originally messed up in FNAF Security Breach. I mean, let's take a look not only at Roxy, but of course Chica as well. You'll also notice there is no Montgomery Gator in this entire game. And what's even crazier is the fact that after a series of minigames, we actually end up in Sister Location, where we play a horrifying game of not only red light, green light, hide and seek, but also come encounter with a giant circus baby who tries to open up her chest cavity in order to give us an ice cream as a prize. And that's when things get even crazier inside of our job. Now, once completing this mission, you'll notice a charging pod does appear, and there's somebody inside of it. Now, this hand is none other than Glitchtrap, and you don't get a chance to even react as there are these horrifying, creepy help bots coming to attack. They seem to pin the protagonist down, and when he eventually wakes up, or in this case is rebooted, it looks like he's been placed inside of an animatronic. Now, after loading up, you'll notice that the protagonist hands this same vanity mask that we've been using in this game over to Cassie. Now, if you'll notice, this scene is quite familiar. This is the exact scene that we saw in FNAF Security Breach Ruin when the map bot hands over the mask to Cassie. Now, my theory here is that this is Cassie's father the entire time, who's been shoved, sadly, inside of this new map bot, of course by Glitchtrap and his newly corrupted help bots. Now, obviously, I don't believe his body is inside of this map bot or mask bot in this case. However, somehow his mind has been uploaded to the animatronic. Now, what makes this even darker is the fact that he's not even able to communicate with his own daughter. He's only able to ask her to take a mask, and sadly enough, he sends her, or at least begins to send her, on the journey that we already know is about to take place, being tripped and manipulated by the mimic itself. And this is the journey for his young daughter, in the sense of now unlocking and destroying security nodes in order to unleash this beast. But what does this mean as far as the future of FNAF Security Breach Ruin and FNAF Security Breach in general? Well, for starters, I believe it's now clear that the Mimic and Glitchtrap are one of the same. These characters, even though we think we've gotten rid of Glitchtrap in the Princess quest inside of FNAF Security Breach Ruin, or really towards the end of FNAF Security Breach, his mind and his body still lives on inside of the Mimic. So this does seem to complicate our storyline, but it definitely makes use of a crazy new ending at the end of this game. But ladies and gentlemen, the good news is there's multiple endings to this game. It's just all about figuring out which one is canon. So that wraps up this specific video here. However, it's not the end of these theories. We will be coming back with a new theory video breaking down each of the endings and deciding which one of these is actually canon. Now, my goal is to get Daco on here as well and bounce back and forth through an interview style video, finding out which one of these endings that you've already seen on probably your favorite YouTuber's channel is canon and makes sense for the future of FNAF. But guys, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more breakdowns just like this, do me a big favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and of course comment down below your thoughts and theories as far as Help Wanted 2 goes. I absolutely love hearing from you guys, and I look forward to reading throughout the comment section and hearing your guys' perspective and thoughts. Anyways guys, thank you again for all the love and support. It means the absolute world to me, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, peace out!